I didn't say a word when the HOA president slammed her palm on the table and shouted that I was in serious violation. She was red in the face, waving a stack of papers like they were holy scripture. Their lawyer leaned forward, smug and certain. I just slid a single folder across the polished surface, calm as a man signing for groceries. Inside was a military reclamation order, Federal Code 36 U.S.C. Section 301. The law that protects the right to display the flag of the United States. The lawyer's smile cracked. His knuckles went pale as he read it. The president's voice trailed off into silence. I sat back in my chair, hands folded, watching their little empire collapse under the weight of a single piece of paper. That moment, didn't come overnight. It took months of patience, of biting my tongue while they treated me like some stubborn fool who didn't understand rules. To understand why that scene mattered, you'd have to know the life I'd built before they tried to take it apart. When I came back from my last deployment, I didn't want much. I had medals in a drawer, scars across my shoulder, and enough. Ghosts in my head to last a lifetime. I didn't care for noise, politics, or crowds. I wanted quiet. So when I found a small cabin tucked into a subdivision at the edge of the county, nothing fancy, just wood siding, a gravel drive, and a strip of yard where the grass grew. Uneven, I knew it was where I'd retire. It wasn't just a house. It was a place where I could breathe. The mornings were my favorite. I'd sit on the porch with black coffee, listening to the wind shuffle through the pines. I kept an old rocking chair my grandfather had made. Some mornings I'd oil it more out of habit than need. On weekends, I'd fish at the creek, fry up the catch in cast iron, and eat with my sleeves rolled. No speeches, no orders, just peace. I wasn't looking for conflict. I didn't even attend HOA meetings when I first moved in. I figured if I kept to myself, they'd do the same. The only statement I ever made was planting a sturdy pole in my yard, the one my platoon had given me when I retired. I raised the flag every morning at dawn. I folded it properly every night. It was a ritual, quiet, disciplined, rooted in memory. For me, it wasn't decoration. It was respect. The first notice came taped to my front door on a Thursday. White paper, bold. Letters, a neat little signature from the HOA board. Violation. Unauthorized display. Fine. $250. I thought it was a mistake. I actually chuckled, tore it down, and stuck it in the drawer. But then another came, then another. They called my flag unapproved exterior ornamentation. They cited some bylaw about uniform aesthetic standards. They said I was disrupting the neighborhood's visual harmony. I stood there holding the letter, staring at the words like they were from another planet. This was the same flag I'd carried into combat zones, the same cloth that had been draped over coffins of men I'd buried. And now some suburban committee wanted to call it ornamentation. At first, I tried civility. I wrote an email to the board explaining the flag's significance. I offered to present federal guidelines on proper flag etiquette. I even asked if they'd approve it as an exception. No reply. Instead, I got another letter. Fines doubling, threats of lien on my property. I went to a meeting, sat in their folding chairs under fluorescent lights, and calmly explained myself. They laughed. The president, a sharp-faced woman with a clipped voice, said, "We don't make exceptions for personal decorations. Rules are rules." That was the moment something in me shifted. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I just nodded, walked out, and drove home in silence. But inside, I was no longer the man asking politely. I was the man who'd spent nights in deserts studying maps, the man who knew that patience and planning won more battles than noise ever did. So I stopped. Emailing, I stopped asking. Instead, I started reading. Property law, state codes, federal statutes, I devoured them. I found the freedom to display the American Flag Act of 2005, Section 4B, clear as daylight. No homeowners association may restrict or prevent a member of the association from displaying the flag of the United States on residential property, provided it's displayed properly. I printed it. I highlighted it. Then I went deeper. I pulled my deed, traced the subdivisions and corporation documents. Even found the county zoning approvals from the 1970s. I requested board meeting minutes through a public records request. Every night, my dining table filled with folders, binders, and sticky notes. While they slept smug in their certainty, I was sharpening the blade. It wasn't just me. My family felt it too. My daughter stopped inviting friends over, embarrassed by the bright orange violation notices taped to our door. My wife grew anxious every time the mail came. Neighbors, once friendly, turned cold, afraid of the board maybe, or just unwilling to take sides. The isolation cut deep, but it also steeled me. If I was going to fight, it would be for them as much as for me. The final straw came when they threatened foreclosure. Imagine that. Men and women who'd never spent a night under fire, who'd never stood for the anthem with tears in their eyes, threatening to take a veteran's home because of a flag. I remember setting the letter down, exhaling slowly, and saying out loud, "All right then." That's when I compiled the file. Not just the federal law, but photos of every notice they taped up, copies of every fine they issued in my military. Discharge papers showing honorable service and commendations. I even had statements from neighbors who'd quietly whispered support, but hadn't dared go public. By the time I was done, the folder was thick enough to drop with a thud, and so we circle back to that board meeting, where the president's voice echoed off linoleum walls, where smugness hung in the air like perfume. I didn't yell, didn't argue. I waited until the right moment, then placed the folder on the table. Their lawyer opened it, his brow furrowing, his lips moving silently as he read. When he reached the highlighted section of federal code, his face drained, leaned toward the president, whispering urgently. She stiffened, her confidence wilting. "This is federal," she stammered. "Yes, ma'am." And I defended it in uniform long before I ever had to defend it from this room. The silence that followed was better than applause.
Out.
It was the silence of defeat. Within weeks, the fines were rescinded. The liens were dropped. A formal apology letter arrived, though it dripped with reluctance. The president resigned not long after health reasons, they said, though everyone knew better. The board scrambled to rewrite their rules, but the damage was done. Their authority had cracked, and everyone saw it. Now they wave. When I drive through. Some avoid eye contact, pretending to study their lawns. Others nod stiffly. A few even salute the flag when they pass, though whether out of respect or fear, I couldn't say. As for me, I still raise the flag every morning at dawn, still fold it carefully at night. Only difference is, no one dares call it ornamentation anymore, and that's enough. I didn't fight to gloat. I fought for peace. And now, when the wind catches the stars and stripes, and it snaps sharp against the morning sky, I sip my coffee and smile. Quiet again. It's just how I wanted it.